Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending upon when you watch this. But if you're watching it right now, it is a beautiful morning. And so we're gonna try a little something different. We've got some lovely folks outside doing some yard work, and that is all good. And so here we are inside. And I also put on a little bit of gentle music in the background, so we'll see how that feels and sounds. Start each day with a grateful heart. I was talking with one of my clients about this actually the other day in session, about wanting to get into a routine. My client said, I feel like really successful people all have a routine, something they do in the morning, or some way that they set up, they have a structure. And I said, I feel like you're right. And I said, I do think that. I think that most people who are successful create that for themselves. And we turn this off. Yeah, thank you. And so I'm actually quite easily distracted, and because I'm not used to that, it's a little tough to focus. So basically I think we all have a routine. And she said, I really want to get into a routine of gratitude. How do I do that? I said, what if you just woke up and said, thank you? She goes, oh, I guess that's an idea. I could do that. And I said, setting an alarm and literally as soon as you wake up, touching snooze or turning the alarm off and saying, thank you. And so she says, I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna see how that goes. And I said, or you could say it several times. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's really, really difficult. You've heard me say this much if you spent any time with me, to choose shit or negativity or something that doesn't feel good when we're inside of gratitude. I say, or I use the phrase, shit can't grow in a bed of gratitude. And it's true. When shit's growing, meaning our perceived reality of something not being good or something unwanted, we are most certainly not inside of gratitude, because it doesn't work that way. Because if you are truly inside of gratitude, you are acknowledging and seeing and feeling so much gratitude that you're not in tune with how terrible or bad things are. Let me rephrase that. Not that you're not in tune with it, that it's not where your focus is, and you're able to move more fruitfully in life from a space of gratitude. That's probably a good way of putting it. And so I often use this to pivot in life when I'm in a funk or a stank, or as we like to say, when I'm in my shit sandbox. I like to really focus on gratitude as best as I can. So I'll be in kind of a funky mood and I'll catch myself, right? I use a technique called SALVE, S-A-L-V-E. I'll teach that to you another day. Or you can go on my YouTube channel, Coach Bree, and I did a video on SALVE, really cool technique. But essentially getting from my shit sandbox into elevating my demeanor, my mood, and my practice. And so I'll focus on being thankful, because you can't stay in that space for long if you choose gratitude. And so that said, gratitude is really powerful and really good, and one of the most powerful ways I think that we get ourselves out of those funky spaces. So today I said, what you believe, you practice. Sometimes I think about topics of discussion or teaching or sharing, dare I say, randomly throughout days, and it does not matter what I have planned in my head. If I try to plan, something just comes up from within that seems more, I don't want to use the word important because that seems a bit egotistical. Just something more pressing within me comes up. And so in doing so much study and research, I'll read or I'll listen to speakers that I really enjoy, and I do my best to balance out the things that I study with the things that sort of are biased and will prove me right, but also with things that make me uncomfortable. It's our tendency to observe, watch, or seek out confirmation bias. It's our tendency to look for the things in life that make us right, because our fragile little egos would have a difficult time being wrong so frequently. And as it is, we have this difficulty in beating ourselves up so much. And again, if you spent any amount of time with me, you know that that doesn't really serve us. But being truthful with ourselves does. And there is a difference. Beating myself up and being truthful with myself. Beating myself up saying I'm a deplorable human being, I'm awful, I'm terrible, I do all of these wrong things. Or saying, you know, I lie, I cheat, I steal, I've been judgmental and incredibly critical of others. And those are all true things. But acknowledging those in an effort to right them, not to beat myself up, not to smash myself so that I can land in a bed of victimhood and feel sorry for myself and not create any change in my life. Rather, to be honest so that I can say, this is a pretty shitty way to live if I stay in this state, if I stay lying, if I stay judgmental and critical of myself or others. So to really focus on how do I change that? What is running through my head? What are the beliefs and patterns, and however you are behaving is a good indicator of what you believe. Now, it takes a little more digging than just, I must believe, No, it takes a little bit more. It takes getting uncomfortable. And the truth is I really think most of us are too sensitive to really do that. For most of us, we really fear being deeply honest with ourselves about our behavior and our patterns. I find on my journey, as I was doing some journaling this morning about my beliefs, and I've had quite a journey. If we talk about beliefs in the sense of spirituality and religion, I come from a deeply religious background. It's kind of a funny story in the sense that most people who meet me now, funny too, right? I'm wearing a Ganesha shirt that I got in Bali. But if you knew me many years ago, you knew that I was very deeply Catholic. That is the religion that I professed and said I believed in. And my journey amongst this sort of belief system, or trying to identify one, has been quite the journey. And it's not over, and it's one I'm still learning much about and observing. But I've certainly traveled far both ways, or separate ends of the spectrum, if you will. But to give you a little frame of reference, when I was 18, 19, 20, 21, I wanted to be a nun. I was very devout, and I thought that was the best path to go in my life. And that's just where I was at. That's where my faith was in my life. And went so far one way, so far the other, and I'm really working my way back to finding what to believe. And the truth is, for most of us, whether people want to admit it or not, is most of us are, all of us, are deeply affected by how we grew up and the environment with which we live in and what we were taught. Because if you and I, sitting here in America, grew up in Africa in a tribe somewhere in the jungle, we'd all believe something very different, likely. I know most people would like to believe they would land in the space they are in now because they are thinking all for themselves, but our truth is we often don't. We are deeply impacted by the influences around us. Tangent, bring it back, Brie. So my point is, in identifying my journey with my belief, I realize that there's still a lot I have to learn. And I think it's important to really do that work within ourselves. I can tell you what I do know or do believe, and I do my best to really live this way, is I believe there is a higher power, something far greater than myself. And at the very least, believing that has me understanding that I am not God, and I don't know it all, and I have much to learn. And I also think that a lot of people who say they have specific beliefs, who then turn around and behave in ways opposite of what they're saying. And I really think if we are to be deeply honest with ourselves, we would really evaluate that. So many of us get busy in our lives pointing fingers at others and justifying things as opposed to doing the work in here. So much of what I share, much of my message comes from the notion that we need to do the work inside. We are so busy trying to do things outside of ourselves or point fingers outside of ourselves. And the reality is the greatest change that we can have in this world is the change that we make in here. And I don't just mean that as a brave statement. I mean it truthfully. That so many people are so concerned with so many bigger issues, or they say they're concerned and do nothing. Because beliefs actually really have very little to do with what you say and everything to do with what you do. And this is what I mean when I say I think most of us aren't really deeply honest with ourselves, because we say we believe one thing, yet we behave completely opposite. And then maybe cast it off as, well, I'm just human and I'm a mere mortal. Yeah, I know we are. All of us are. And that's why we have to do this work in here, because it can't just be enough for us to say, I believe in God, and then yet to be critical and judgmental and cast others out and not educate ourselves and not do our work inside and not be willing to look deeply at ourselves, and so on and so forth. I digress. My point is, it's really important that while we are here, we really seek to be honest with ourselves. I think it is the only way we get to our highest self. I think it is the only way we most deeply connect with God and Source, is to really begin to peel back these layers of conditioning and ego, programming, and I think it's the only way we actually truly get to humility and to a really deep sense of gratitude. And so today's meditation is about, how do we navigate that space? How do we truly get to a practice of being so honest with ourselves? Again, not to break ourselves, but at the same time, maybe to. Not to break ourselves as in to be a victim in life and to be broken, but to break ourselves as in to break from the sense of selfishness and deceit and criticism and judgment and so on, and to get to a space of recognizing that we are all of those things that we point at others for, that we point our fingers at others for. And when we reach that space where I understand my capability of shit, then I can start to shift and change. But as long as we stand in a space and we point from a space of feeling better in any way, shape, or form than anyone else, ever, if we feel that way, then we're not healing, because we actually have this inflated sense of self. And so that's a lot. That's a lot. But I think it's important. I think that's our truth. I have to recognize all of the terrible things that I do and be honest about that. Not for the sake of feeling sorry for myself or false humility, actually rather seeking honest humility. Seeking that all of the people who it would be tempting for me to feel better than because I'm higher than thou or holier than thou or more this than thou or that, and actually seeing I'm no different. I'm no different than those that I view as any less than me, ever. I think that's really finding alignment with what we say we believe and how we behave. Because how we behave is really what we believe. And so we have to be honest about that. And so that's what today is. It's not meant for us to be discouraged. It's meant for us to be empowered, but not in a false sense, in a true sense. In a sense of saying, yes, I say and do these things that are not good, and I need to be honest with myself, because if I actually say I want to be better, I can't lie to myself or others. I have to notice and observe the gigantic thorn in my eye, right? Before I see splinters in others. And we don't do that. We say we want to, but we don't. What I'm saying is fundamental to my practice and to what I hope to impart in this world, however meek and tiny it truly is, because it's so difficult even to do it for myself, is that that is what we do at an individual level. That's my intention. All right. So let us do that today. I think it's an area that some people say, I don't want to go there, that's depressing and that's whatever. Okay. It's challenging. It's not depressing. It's real. And we have to be honest with ourselves if we truly want to be better. But I believe that we can. I really do believe in humanity. I really, really do believe in our ability. I believe we are resilient. I also believe we're capable of terrible things, which history shows us. But I believe that we can be better. I really do. And so that's my intention. So today we're going to breathe, and today we're going to meditate on the depth of honesty we really have with ourselves. This means that we are disregarding anyone else around us at all. Literally just looking at ourselves. No comparing to anyone else, just being honest with ourselves. So as always, I'm going to be open-handed and open-hearted and invite you to do the same, to sit up nice and tall, and to sit up nice and tall in a way that your body says, I want to achieve that, I want to get there. Not this depressive state as in I am less than or incapable, but to be confident in our ability to be resilient. And so let's begin with our deep breaths, breathing diaphragmatically into our stomach, expanding, then expanding in the chest, and slowly exhaling. Allowing ourselves to calm, center, and focus today. Just focus on your breath. Breathing deeply in and exhaling long and slow. Allow yourself to come to a place of calm and center. Allow yourself to relax. Just be present with your breath. Breathe deeply in. And exhale nice and slowly. Take this time to be truly grounded and present. Thankful that we have made a decision to be here, to focus on our growth, to be honest. Take this time to choose gratitude just for the present moment. Breathe deeply in, slow it all down. Let's be intentional. Let's allow ourselves to go deeply inward today. It is in the deepest, most honest spaces within where we do the most important work and we emerge better, stronger, in more alignment with the words coming out of our mouth and the behavior that we choose each day. Breathe deeply in. Expand, expand, expand. Exhale, letting go. Good. Let's take 2 more big deep breaths, allowing ourselves to ground, inviting in love, God's love, Source's love, frequency of love in this universe. It's for the purpose of love that we seek to become better. Breathing deeply in one more time and exhaling long and slow. Good. As we do our body scan today, as always, allow ourselves to just become aware. Awareness is the base of transformation. We cannot change what we are unaware of. We must first be willing to become aware. So as always, let us begin at our crown chakra at the top of your head. And I want you to envision opening up today, opening up as if it were a portal, as if it were a door, opening up your mind and your soul to grow more deeply aware and to welcome in the insights that would allow us to be in better alignment, to right ourselves, to heal ourselves, to be responsible for our growth, to be responsible for our own choices every single day. Let's begin in your head, noticing, are there any heavy thoughts, tension, stress? Are there any dark thoughts, thoughts of anger and frustration or bitterness towards ourselves or others? Are we carrying pressure in our head that is unnecessary and that is not helpful but hurtful? Breathe deeply in and let that go. As we move down the head into the neck and the shoulders, let's relax the body and notice, am I carrying the burden of others? Am I carrying burdens that are not mine? Am I knowingly choosing to carry what is my responsibility in life in a beautiful way, in a way with the intention of being better? Am I willing to be aware? Breathe deeply in and invite that in. Good, moving down the body, relaxing the arms. Am I carrying my responsibility and my load today, or am I worried so much about everyone else so as to defer from my own responsibility? Am I trying to carry the responsibility of others? Maybe because I don't want to look at myself and carry my load. Let's let that go. Let's be present. Let's be willing to carry our responsibilities. Relax the arms. Gratitude at the opportunity and freedom to do so. Moving down the body into the chest as you breathe deeply in and expand in your diaphragm and your chest. Feel your heart open. It's okay to become aware of any rigidity within you. It is a gift to become aware of our frustration or pain or whatever it is. Can we accept that without judgment and accept it as a gift to be aware of, that we can heal and grow and get into alignment? Breathing deeply in, welcoming in expansion and awareness as we move down the body into the stomach. Noticing all the way around from front to back. What is our body telling us? What is our body communicating we need to do? What does our physical body tell us about where we're at, about our health. Breathe in, expansion. Breathe deeply in. We want to expand. Let us align with expansion. Breath is expansion. Breath is awareness. Moving down the body into the hips, into that root chakra. What am I rooted in? Am I rooted in self-loathing for the sake of remaining a victim in life and placing blame outside of myself that keeps me from being my highest self? Am I rooted in chaos, or am I really aiming to plant deeply each day, to seek what I do believe, what is most true for me, what is most honest? Where are my roots planted? Become aware. Allow that awareness to be important. As we move down the body into the legs and the feet, let us simply be in tune with what we are doing to carry our souls and these beings throughout this time in our lives. Are we being mindful and purposeful, or are we being reckless? Are we being indifferent? Or are we being intentional? Become aware. Breathe deeply in, accepting that this body is a part of our journey and that we must take care of it and tune in and listen to it as it teaches us. Knowing that what happens at a physical level, what we acknowledge or see or become aware of at our physical level, is first impactful in our spiritual, mental, and emotional beings. Breathe deeply in. So today, as we seek the deepest sense of honesty, not to break our spirits, but to build them, to know our truth so that we can truly seek to be great, we must first own and understand our struggles and our flaws, not to berate and to remain small, but to be humble and to be better. Can I be honest with myself in an effort to really grow at an individual level? That as a better individual, I become a part of a team, a better team. And that I focus more on my own responsibilities instead of being fixated outside of myself to defer or deflect from my own responsibility. What is it within myself that is most difficult to accept? By accepting it, I might feel incredibly uncomfortable. Am I really being honest in every way? Do I give myself permission to tell small lies because I justify that being okay? Am I constantly speaking and engaging to position myself in some way elevated or better? Am I practicing being honest about what I really think and feel? Or am I saying what I think makes me sound better. Is it difficult for me to admit my faults? Because then, in admittance of my struggles or faults or flaws, I see myself as a failure. Can I be honest about my mistakes, my choices that have brought me right where I am in the conditions in which I perceive in my relationship to be fully responsible for every uncomfortable aspect of it, to turn every bit of attention inward on what I am doing to create the circumstance in which I exist. In my family, to be responsible for the ways in which I communicate. Do I still hold judgment? Do I still hold criticism? Am I finding myself better than others? And is that keeping me separate? And what would happen if I accepted full responsibility for my own actions, my own thoughts? Would I show up with more love? Would I find a way to be present? What am I still speaking about, saying, or doing in placing blame on others? In my work, in my career, where am I complaining? Where am I seeing that it's someone else's fault that things aren't right? Where am I deciding that it's not enough? Am I doing what I love? Whose responsibility is that? Do I even take time to identify what matters to me so as to create change? Do I care deeply enough about my own impact on everything before I point fingers at my superiors and others? Do I see all of the mistakes of my coworkers and none of my own? Do I see all of the shortcomings, the flaws of others, and neglect my own responsibilities? In my money, am I finding fault in others around me and discussing how they misuse money and not regarding my own? Am I justifying spending frivolously or on things that do not sharpen or better me, and then choose to complain about my finances? What time have I invested in better understanding and caring for my financial well-being that would permit me to choose more wisely? And if I have not invested a great amount of time, why would I expect my stewardship with money to be good? How much time and energy and effort am I really pouring into being a better version of myself in my personal development? Am I spending moments inside of a full day and somehow expecting things to be better? Am I spending barely any moments on myself and yet still finding fault with others? Am I being honest with myself about my shortcomings for the sake of wanting to heal them and be better? what am I doing to better discover how to align my beliefs with my practice? Am I even challenging my beliefs in order to find the truth? Am I choosing blindly to believe something and then not even really following that and not practicing it? Do I say blindly believe as an excuse to not have to do any research, to not have to be uncomfortable? Do I truly want to understand how to align my practice with my beliefs? Do I understand my humanness is not a condition to hide beneath, but an opportunity to be honest in order to create change? If I am honest with myself right now, in this moment, how much energy and effort and thought am I spending on my own responsibility, not in an effort to remain deplorable or a victim of my circumstance or environment or of anything that anyone else is doing, rather to truly heal, to let go of blame and unforgiveness towards others, to truly seek to stand on my own 2 feet in full responsibility for the way that I live my life? Am I seeking every day at how I can do better? Or am I spending so much time pointing fingers at what the government and other organizations are doing so wrongly? Where am I not taking responsibility in my life? In honesty, what would I be doing differently if I took full responsibility? What behaviors would be different? What thoughts would be different? How much more of my time would be spent on true humility and my own betterment? Am I justifying and using quote-unquote responsibilities and obligations as a reason to not do my own work? Am I finding excuses? And do I have lists of why I am how I am, instead of being responsible to create change? And can I be thankful inside of all of this awareness? Can I be thankful for the opportunity to be a better version of myself? Can I be thankful that in recognizing full responsibility for myself does mean a better me, which means a better environment, which means a better world? That is my responsibility. Am I willing to accept a great deal of discomfort to be a better me? Am I willing to accept that I'm going to find things that push up against what I was taught, that make me challenge myself and others in order to sharpen myself? I am responsible for me. I am responsible for my thoughts. I am responsible for my behavior. I am responsible for my choices. I am responsible for my life. I am responsible for what I say. I am responsible for me. Where I am is because choose to be here. What I believe is because it is what I choose to believe. What I feel is because I choose to feel. I take full responsibility for my life. I take full responsibility for my gifts. I take full responsibility for squandering everything I have in my life. I take full responsibility so that I can do better. I take full responsibility for me. I take full responsibility for me. I receive discomfort as it comes, as opportunity to be more honest and truthful with myself. I take full responsibility for me. I take full responsibility for my life. I take full responsibility for me. I let go of blame. I let go of anger. I let go of excuses. I let go of reasons. I take full responsibility for me. Breathe deeply in with gratitude. There is freedom and responsibility. Exhale, letting go. Breathe deeply in. There is freedom and responsibility. Exhale, letting go. Breathe deeply in. There is freedom and responsibility. Exhale, letting go. Breathe deeply in. There is purpose and responsibility. Exhale, letting go. Breathe deeply in. There is freedom and responsibility. And exhale, letting go. That is a powerful one, my friends. That is a powerful one. Just down. Mm-hmm. Oof. How do you feel? I will tell you that I feel pretty amazing. It's heavy, yeah? It's a bit heavy. Recognizing our responsibility. I get it. But how else do we get better? If we're not doing the work here and it's always someone else's fault and everyone around us is doing the same thing, how do we get better? The answer is we don't, if we are always pointing fingers outside of ourselves. And to me, there is such freedom in recognizing that if I actually do the work myself, if I actually take responsibility, then I really am creating the life that I want. I'm seeing the miracles in every day. I'm choosing gratitude because I recognize how terrible it could be. But because I'm paying attention honestly, then I actually get to make a difference. But we must be honest. We have to be deeply, deeply honest. Down to every fiber, down to every cell. It has to matter that much. Trella says, thank you so much for today's meditation and for taking every day to do these meditations with us. I am grateful for you sharing your time and your truth with us. This has become such a beautiful addition to my life. Thank you. Trella, I do not take that lightly, deeply, with all of my heart. Thank you. I am humbled too by this time and the amount that I learn, and how much every single time I sit down I realize how much I don't know and how far I have to go, but with a grateful heart. The weight of that responsibility in life for each of us is great, but it's so beautiful. I really do feel that. Thank you. Pam says, I can conquer my feelings. I love you. Yes, you can. And I love you too. And we have to start somewhere. We have to start with responsibility for ourselves. We can no longer place blame on others in life. We can no longer place blame on the imperfections of our parents and their faults and their flaws and the government and this world and everything else. Because the truth is, as long as we do that, we're not focused here. And this is the only thing we have any real control over and dominion over. And that is only if we actually are this deeply honest with ourselves. Otherwise, we are mechanical. We are mechanical. And people talk about free will. If you are a slave to your programming, I don't know that I really believe you have free will. Because the only element of free will is that you are choosing those things, and yet maybe you are so unconscious and unaware of that, you will stay in a state of blame, and we will not change. This world doesn't change by massive organizations. It changes by individuals choosing to do the work, one person at a time. We cannot hide behind an organization of any sort. We have to be present here and really do the work here. So thank you. Thank you for seeking to do that. I can tell you this, every day I am humbled at how little I do know. Every day I am humbled at how many mistakes I do make, at how unaligned I am at times. And I am not so naive to believe that I am such a good human. I have so far to go. I have so far to go. I have so much more to do here. I have so many moments of judgment. I have so many moments of criticism. I have so many moments of blame. But it's that keeps me diving in, because I want to be better, and because I believe that I can, and because I genuinely and actually believe that we can. So I hope today, as intense and deep and honest as it drives you, I hope that it drives you deeper here and less focused on anything else out here, because that is simply a distraction to keep you from being your best self. Trust me when I say, not because I'm so brilliant, but because I'm learning the same thing, that when our eyes are fixated out here at other things, they are not here. And that means that we are placing blame and judgment elsewhere instead of a responsibility here. So I hope today helps you with that. I hope that we as individuals create a community of responsibility. But you are responsible for you and what a gift that is, and don't abuse that gift. And so I hope we rise into responsibility as individuals. That's how we really truly make this world different. I believe that, for whatever that means. And for me, it just means I can do better. I have to. So I love you as much as I can, although it's probably minimal. I'm doing my best to grow that, and I'm really thankful for you, and I really hope that we can be a collective of individuals getting better. Most important thing you can know is to know your worth, and know you are worth doing the work. Have a beautiful day today, and know your worth.